I'm here to give my review of WrestleMania 13. One of the single worst WrestleMania shows in the history of the WWE. This show is bad. Really bad. It's not as bad as WrestleMania 9 because it does have at least one redeeming quality. But it's still a horrible show. And it followed a fairly good show. Go figure. So here we go. WrestleMania 13. March the 23rd, 1997. From the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, Illinois. So the second time that the WWE's hosted a WrestleMania in Chicago. Although technically, you want to be technical, Chicago only hosted a third of WrestleMania 3, of WrestleMania 2, but anyway. We start off with a 4-team elimination match, and the winners receive a tag team championship match the next night on Raw. Okay. As it's the Godwinns, whose music, by the way, if you're watching this on WWE Network, whose music is dubbed over. If you watch on WWE Network anyway. It's the Godwinns versus the Headbangers versus the new Blackjacks versus Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon. This is a half-a-star match primarily due to the Headbangers and the Godwinns have a halfway decent match when they're down, when it's down to them. But once the Blackjacks, Furnas, and LaFon are gone, that's when this match gets good. And other than that, it's just a bad idea. Putting new in front of anything doesn't make the team good. So, yeah, the new Rockers were not good. Let's be honest there. So the Headbangers win, half a star. So then we get the WWE Intercontinental Championship match. Rocky Maivia versus the Sultan. Who is the Sultan, you may ask? Well, the Sultan is Rikishi. Yeah, so I think for all the bad gimmicks Rikishi had to put up with, and never complaining about it, I say, hey, let him go into the WWE Hall of Fame. It ain't like he didn't pay his dues. He had to put up with some very horrible gimmicks, this one being as such. This is a very boring match. It's no stars, and it's boring. This is Rock's first WrestleMania back when he was that bland baby face that was just bland and had no character. Look where The Rock ended up, though. Look where Rocky Maivia / The Rock ended up. One of the all-time greatest WWE superstars of all time. This is certainly not anything. This is no stars. Rock wins with a very poor-looking roll-up. And then Rock gets beat up and he's saved by his father, Rocky Johnson. Okay. Interesting. I don't really know if this ever went anywhere, but I doubt it. So no stars. So then we actually have a somewhat decent little match, as it's Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Goldust. This is 1 star. Compared to the last 2 matches, this is actually the best match compared to the first 2 that started this. This is the best match of the opening 3. So, yeah. Actually had a very good story behind it with Triple H trying to hit on Marlena, who is Goldust's wife, and one of the few times WWE's ever acknowledged stuff like that. And it told it rather well that Goldust was concerned about Marlena and Chyna. See, and that played into the finish because Goldust picks Marlena up on the apron. But Triple H gives him a knee in the back that puts Marlena into a bear hug from Chyna, which allows Triple H to hit the pedigree and get the 1, 2, 3. So, all in all, this match is actually, compared to the first 2, it's good. But it's a 1-star match overall. But it's still a good match compared to the 2 that preceded it. So then we get the WWE Tag Team Championship match. The British Bulldog and Owen Hart versus Vader and Mankind. Half a star tag match that ends in a double countout. Yeah, a double countout. With everything they were teasing, because they were teasing a Bulldog and Owen breakup at the time, that they never went with. But they were teasing it, and this would have been the perfect time to do that. This would have been a perfect time to do that with Owen turning on Bulldog, launching Bulldog off as a face, having a feud with Owen for the summer. But the new Hart Foundation, you know, put them back together and all that. So it made all that build they were doing kind of pointless. And like I said, this is a double count-out in a tag team championship match ending by a double count-out. So it's half a star. Even if it is a standard tag match, it's a half a star. It's not a good standard tag team match. So then we get, honestly, the only match that this WrestleMania will ever be remembered for. And it's the submission match. Special referee Ken Shamrock between Bret the Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is the one match on this show that always saves this show from being completely unwatchable. Is this one match. This match made Austin a star via just, yeah, he lost, but he lost in a way that didn't hurt him, and in fact, this match also succeeded in doing something rare. This match succeeded in doing a double turn, whereas, as a result of this one match, Bret Hart flipped to being heel, and Steve Austin turned to being face. Even though Austin never wrestled as a face, but he was a face because of how popular he was. This is a very, very good match. It's a submission match, so there's no DQ and no count-out, so you can go everywhere, and Bret and Austin use that. Austin gets branded to the steps and gets busted open. Finish comes when Bret Hart puts a sharpshooter on Austin, and he does not tap out or submit. He passes out, and that's what gives Bret the win. And then Austin, because of that performance, is what forced the WWE to turn Austin face. So you had the whole situation where Austin was a heel, but they turned him face because of this one thing, and then everything that Bret Hart later submitted him being a heel. Very good match, though. 5-star match on a very bad WrestleMania. The only thing that really saves this show from being probably worse than WrestleMania 9. Well, nothing would be worse than WrestleMania 9, but this is the one thing that saves this from being unwatchable and just avoidable. So, next match, Chicago Street Fight. Ahmed Johnson and Legion of Doom versus the Nation of Domination, specifically Farouk, Savio Vega, and Crush. I don't know how you take a Chicago Street Fight and make it bad, but they did it here. This is a bad Chicago Street Fight. Just is. Ahmed Johnson and Yellow D win, which is probably the right booking decision. But this is just a bad street fight. And, you know, street fights are prerogatives about how good they are. It depends on whether you enjoy hardcore matches a lot, or if you think, or, you know, but you can do a good street fight. This is just bad. Triple H Cactus Jack, Royal Rumble 2000. That's the example of a street fight done right and a good street fight. This is the example of a bad street fight that is essentially just weapon shot, weapon shot, weapon shot, weapon shot, and a few other things there. Whereas the better street fights are kind of a balance, in a way. This is not a balance. This is kind of like how ECW did most of their matches. And before anyone says anything, I'm not the biggest fan of the original ECW, because the original ECW was about hardcore wrestling most of the time. At least after Benoit, Malenko, and Guerrero left, and guys like Jericho and all them left, it stuck to this whole hardcore wrestling 24/7 thing. And I don't really like that. I like a good hardcore match or a street fight as much as the next guy, but I don't think an opponent should ever be centered around it. So due to that, I'll probably never give you any ECW reviews. I don't think I've ever said that. But that's kind of what this match was. How the original ECW would do a lot of their matches. Not all of them. I give you not all of them. But most of them. But 90% of them. So I have a star street fight. Next match, WWE Championship match, main event. Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. This is 1 star because there's actually a couple good spots in it. There's a double big boot spot and some other and stuff like that makes this a somewhat unique match. It's still bad. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Even with Bret Hart's interference, which really hurts this match. Because of Bret Hart interfering all the time. But Taker wins the Tombstone and becomes WWE Champion for only the second time in his career. And the first time with the Survivor Series 1991. So you're dealing with over 5 years between title reigns. Yeah, 5 years between title reigns. Cena's never gone 5 years between title reigns, which is half the reason people like me bash John Cena's booking. Undertaker, between his first and second reign, almost 5 years in between title reigns. In fact, it was over 5. So, but, you know, still a good match. I mean, not horrible. It's not like as bad as Undertaker Giant Gonzalez. Is it one of Taker's best WrestleMania matches? No, because while they mentioned he never lost WrestleMania, they haven't really figured out that Taker matches at Mania had the potential to be something different until a while after. Say about WrestleMania 23. That's when the streak became a really big deal. So, all in all, this is out of possible 35 stars, we got an 8.5. So this is an F show. So it's in the range of WrestleMania 9. And the range of WrestleMania 11, although 11's actually above it by a little bit. So, between 9, 11, and 13, those are 3 of the worst WrestleManias of all time. The next WrestleMania, not so much. The next WrestleMania is very, very good. And I'll get to that with WrestleMania 14's review, which will be uploaded sometime tomorrow. This will be in the WrestleMania Review Series playlist, so if you like the video, hit the like button down there. Hit the subscribe button down there if you want to leave a comment. And thank you for watching. Bye.